The next question is from Bubonic Nate. Side note, yeah, for the longest time, I thought that Bubonic Nate was actually spelled Bubonicate and was a name for a way to break one of the Ten Commandments. But at any rate, I was soon found out the right way to pronounce it. Bubonic Nate's question is, if Kant were an Eskimo, what is a Y? Yeah, this seems like a very mysterious question. I think the best way to answer this one is, what did Kant think was a Y? Um, for example, why did he think that we perceive space and time? What was the explanation for why we did that? Kant's really answer to that why question was, it's kind of built into us. It's even a priori, like Euclidean geometry. He had all these arguments to the effect that it's completely impossible even to conceive of a different kind of geometry than Euclidean geometry. Geometry has to be Euclidean. It's a priori. Yeah, well, of course, Einstein and Raman seem to disprove that little thing with a non-Euclidean geometries. It's true that our minds organize and filter our experience, but it's not true that it does this in an a priori, universal, or even unchangeable way. I think the best example of this is the Mueller-Lyer illusion. So, if you happen to come from a Western country, you'll probably perceive that the upper line is a lot longer than the lower line, even though they're actually quite the same size. Now, it's kind of mysterious as to why this happens, but people's best guess is that because we live in what's called a carpentered world. Now, admittedly, my drawing skills aren't really that fantastic. This is supposed to represent the inside of a house, and maybe there's a coffee table on the inside of the room there. And you can see, you tend to think that perspective and foreshortening and all this kind of stuff makes the lines different. So you probably think that the corner where the floor meets the wall there is kind of bigger than the front line of the coffee table. But as you can see, they're actually quite the same size. But when we look at the scene, we probably our minds like snap it to being the inside of a house, and we say, well, of course, a coffee table is smaller than the room is, so that line that's on the coffee table has to be smaller than the line that represents the room, right? Well, I mean, this is all well and good, but that's because we come from a culture that lives in little square houses that are all look the same, right? What if we didn't live in square houses? What if Kant lived in a round house? What if Kant was an Eskimo, or as the more PC types call it these days, Inuits? Um, well, turns out that Eskimos are not subject to the Mueller-Lyer illusion. Yes, that's right. Now, this really has the sound of an urban legend, but so I included a reference in a cool paper. A link is given on their sidebar there, which uses this fact to pwn a theory by Jerry Fodor, which is always a cool thing. But yeah, it turns out that whether or not you're fooled by the Mueller-Lyer illusion has to do with how you were raised, what your culture is. Now, this has some remarkable conclusions, right? Our perceptions are actually shaped by our cultures. But here's the kicker, right? Science relies on perception, no? And do our observations confirm our theories, or do our theories confirm our observations? Well, I mean, of course, it's both. They rely on each other like drunken sailors. But the upshot is, what this means to my life is that this is another reason why I like pluralism. I'm like really, it's a point of pride to me that I have so many different people from so many different worldviews that subscribe to my videos. And I like to be subscribed to, and I like to watch a lot of videos from people who I really strongly disagree with. Um, if I can be wrong about just looking at a line and knowing whether it's longer or shorter than a line, how can I be so cocksure that my other obviously correct beliefs are really obviously correct? The moral of the story, don't just watch the videos of the people who have the same worldview as you. Um, it's very important. It could be a self-reinforcing echo chamber kind of a thing, where you just watch the same videos over and over again, everybody's saying the same thing over and over again, and it really can be a trap. So at any rate, Nate, in answer to your question, if Kant were an Eskimo, what he thought a Y would be is totally different than what he thought it would be now. At any rate, just a little small plug here. Here's my fall fashion line based on the Mueller-Lyer illusion. So early focus group testing indicates that most people find this t-shirt to be very flattering to their anatomy. In all of the lower 48 states in Hawaii. For some reason in Alaska, it's not going over too well. But yeah, look for this shirt coming out in the fall. Thanks a lot.